Wild turkeys are wily birds and can be quite skittish. However, some turkeys at Occoquan Bay National Wildlife Refuge in Woodbridge, Virginia, are accustomed to being around people, so one can quietly approach them without them being frightened. Wild turkeys were domesticated in ancient Mexico. In fact, they are the only bird species native to North America who has been domesticated. Spaniards who had come to North America took turkeys back to Europe. They were bred in Europe and later carried back to North America by British colonists. Turkeys get their name because the British, who were confused about the country of origin of these imported birds, had bought similarly large birds called guinea fowl from Turkish traders. Neither guinea fowl nor guinea pigs come from Guinea. People from the country of Turkey, as well as France, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia, have given names to the turkey based on the belief that it came from India, while the Greeks called turkey French chicken. In Swahili, the word for turkey is translated as great duck. Before Europeans came to the New World, wild turkeys were abundant in about 3/4 of the area that now includes the lower 48 states. By the mid-1900s, turkeys had been wiped out by excessive hunting in about a dozen states and were restricted to small ranges in others. Game managers were successful in reintroducing turkeys into areas from which they had been eliminated because turkeys do not have a homing instinct. If captured and transported, they will establish a home at the new site rather than trying to return to where they came from. Now, wild turkeys are plentiful again. Wild turkeys are in the same family as chickens and pheasants. They have short rounded wings adapted for brief bursts of flight to escape predators. Because turkeys have heavy bodies and short wings, they must use a lot of energy to flap their wings hard and fast to become airborne. That's why they prefer to walk. However, you sometimes see wild turkeys in trees, and they roost in trees at night. Wild turkeys forage on the ground, scratching in the leaves looking for mast, which is acorns and other kinds of nuts. They usually look for food 2 to 3 hours after dawn, and they sometimes feed 2 to 3 hours before sunset. You can hear this turkey scratching in the leaves while looking for food. During the mating season, a male wild turkey often puffs out his feathers and struts around, hoping to attract a female. He has 2 sharp spurs on his lower legs. Male chickens and pheasants also have these spurs, which are used for fighting. A male turkey has strange hair-like feathers called a beard, which hang from his breast and can be more than a foot long. The beard looks like the tassel on a graduation hat. The floppy red skin under his chin is called a wattle. The growth over his bill is called a snood, which he sometimes erects so that it looks like a small rhinoceros horn. The word snood comes from Old English meaning ribbon for the hair, and the term is now also used for a small loose hairnet worn at the back of a person's head. Both the wattle and the snood are actually some of the turkey's caruncles, which also include the warty little bumps on the bare skin of the head and neck. The caruncles on humans are different. They are the little pink globular spots in the inner corner of our eyes. Birds have a third eyelid called a nictitating membrane, which goes from the lower inside corner of their eyes to the top outside corner. The caruncles in human eyes are evolutionary vestiges of this nictitating membrane. Wild turkeys have relatively short tails. The fan feathers at the back end of this male turkey are not part of his tail. They are feathers over the tail called upper tail coverts. Peafowl are in the same family as turkeys, and the feathers at the back end of a peacock likewise are upper tail coverts rather than tail feathers. For most bird species, the upper tail coverts do not extend beyond the tail. Wild turkeys are one of the heaviest native bird species in the United States, along with swans. The males are called toms or gobblers, and they weigh more than 20 pounds. The females are called hens, and they are about half that weight. The hen has a snood and caruncles, which are less developed than on the toms. About 10 to 20% of the hens have a beard, which is also less developed than the toms. Both sexes are born with small spurs on their legs. The spurs keep growing on the toms, but they do not develop on most hens. Young turkeys and other young fowl are called poults, which is why fowl raised on farms are called poultry. A Central American species called the ocellated turkey is more colorful and ornate than the wild turkeys in North America. Ocellated means having ocelli, which are the eye spots on the upper tail coverts, similar to the eye spots on the upper tail coverts of a peacock. Ocellated turkeys have never been domesticated. Here is a strutting male ocellated turkey in Belize trying to attract females and intimidate other males. The caruncles on the ocellated turkey are usually more pronounced than the caruncles on a wild turkey. Here is the vocalization of an ocellated turkey. And here is the gobble of a wild turkey. Expanding suburban development has sometimes encroached on turkey habitat. This has increased the number of interactions between humans and wild turkeys. Turkeys usually are not aggressive towards humans, but they can be frightened if provoked. They sometimes attack people if startled, cornered, or harassed. The term turkey is derogatory when applied to a human. Turkeys have an unfair reputation for being stupid, and there is no truth to the often stated claim that domestic turkeys will drown by standing in the rain with their bills open. Most people know turkeys primarily from the domestic ones eaten at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Living wild turkeys are much more enchanting to watch.